I work here as a sales associate alongside Libby Matei at the Carriage House at Lee's Farm. We are a warm and welcoming assisted living, independent assisted and memory support community, and we love to bring out folks who can broaden our horizons and bring our roots here at the Carriage House. Tonight we're going to have Dr. Barry Taylor join us. He is a naturopathic doctor practicing for over 40 years. I know he looks too young for that. He has over 5 decades. Oh, did you correct me?
No, I said I started when I was 5.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's the answer. Have a seat. Welcome. Yes. And Barry's knowledge will speak for itself when he starts here. This is the first of a 3-part series. I hope you'll learn just enough tonight that brings you back on October 22nd, and then again on the 12th of November. So without further ado, if you have any questions about the Carriage House or what we do here, you can talk to us afterwards or call me. I'm always around, and I'll let Barry do all the talking. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. So let's start just by being quiet for a few moments. I often start my talks with just kind of going inside as a way of letting go of the day. You can keep your eyes open. You can keep your eyes closed. I'd say uncross your body and your hands and your legs if you could. If you can't put your feet on the floor, that's fine. But I'd like you to take a deep breath. Welcome.
You're over there by Barbara.
Thanks for coming. We saved the seat for you. Take a nice deep breath, and if your feet are on the floor, imagine the energy from the earth coming up through the center of your feet just for a few moments as a way of getting present and connected to yourself and with each other. A way of letting go of the day. Take a nice deep breath, wiggle your toes, wiggle your hands. Allow your chest to rise for a few moments as you take a breath. Long ago, there were indigenous people who took care of this part of the earth. Let's bring their energy in as they respected the earth. Bring your ancestors, your grandparents, your parents. Bring some people who worked hard, had an enormous intention for you to have a life. Bring them in to listen with you. Nice deep breath. Just a way of letting go of all the things you did today, the people you spoke to, knowledge that you got here. Wow, thank you. And I ask that you listen with as much curiosity as you can. And when you're ready, just allow your eyes to open with that just a little bit softer than when you went into that short visualization, as you kind of upregulated your parasympathetic nervous system and downregulated your sympathetic go, 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 go. Anybody into go, 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 go to get here? Yeah, okay. So, thank you. So glad to be with you. Been looking forward to this for a while. Thank you. Aging is an inevitable journey, yes? Historically, different cultures have had different ways of respecting elders. And yet, when you consider most of us regale more about our youth than the anticipation of being an elder. Yes? Yeah, just saying. Well, what if we had a context that as we got older we get wiser? What if we had a context that as we got older we appreciated the generosity we had creating loving self-care habits for ourselves? What if that was our context as we got older? So despite what we, you, I all think of as normal, how we grow old is more related to lifestyle choices than most of us believe or have been taught. I'd like to say that again. How we grow old is more related to lifestyle choices than how we've been thought or what you believe. So as we get older, we believe, as you get older, you believe, culturally, we believe. Thank you. So as you get older, we have a tendency, we believe you get sicker. Yeah? What else do we believe as we get older? We get frail. Thank you very much. We get infirm. We get inflexible. We get slower. The beliefs about getting old are daunting. And as in many things in life, when what you believe you think is the truth, okay, there are workshops for that. Not this one. Or maybe this one. So we think that as we get older, we're supposed to get sicker. We use that as justification. I remember a woman who came in to me, see me in the early part of my practice. I think it was 81, 82. That's 1981, not 1881. And she said, oh, my father had a heart attack. And I was listening, and I said, well, what do you think? Why do you think he had a heart attack? And she said, oh, he was just getting old. We live in unconscious beliefs that we justify what happens to our friends and family and us because of aging. And I just want to start our conversation of the next few discussions that that's not the truth, but it is a strongly held belief that as you get older, you get sicker. Our average age of retirement is 67. So if most people start working late teens, 20-ish, and most people, average age of retirement is 67, so most people work 50 plus or minus years. Average age that people die in this culture is 78. That means for most of us, we have 11 years of doing something other than earning money to support ourselves or our family. Wow, how does that sound? Wow. Just saying, that's the statistics. And so what are those years like? If the average age of retirement is 67 and most of us die average 78 in those 11 years, do we have the time for travel and philanthropy and contribution? Thank you. Do we have time for our hobbies and learning? Well, some people do in those 11 years, but a lot of people are taking an enormous amount of time. Thank you for turning your phones off, appreciate it. A lot of people take up a lot of time doing what? Caring for others or caring for themselves. Yeah, how many people, you go to the doctor in your mid to late 60s, early 70s, when you all get there. Sorry, none of you were there yet. As much as in the 40s, not to say that people don't go to the doctors in their 40s, but that 11 years isn't necessarily, oh, freedom. No. Seem to have a whole other kind of responsibility other than working to make money for your family, give to your church, give to your temple, give to causes you believe in, and feel sufficient that you can do what you want. The vast majority of us die of disease, don't die of old age. Is that the way we're designed as human beings? So you have a car, and you don't read the manual. So you don't rotate the tires. It's not an electric car, you're not there yet. So you don't change the oil and you don't change the transmission fluid, and you just kind of drive your car. and then you notice it's slipping around the road, and it's making all sorts of noises, and the pickup isn't very good, and the brakes aren't very good, and it's got all sorts of issues, and you're like, God, I spent a lot of money for this car. This car is like designed to be obsolete. Could it be that way for us as human beings? Could it be that we actually take better care of our cars than we do of our bodies? Just a thought. Our disease management, disease orientation system is reactionary. I want to say that again. Our disease management, disease orientation system is reactionary. Our healthcare system is not about healthcare. Duh. Sorry. Our health insurance, you and I use the term health insurance, does not pay much for health. It's all oriented toward disease management, mostly. Not entirely, but mostly. We live in a culture, in a medical system that's related to breakdowns and crises. It's reactionary. In the close to 50 years that I've been involved in learning, being curious and passionate, the word preventive medicine is one, I don't think so. Not really. If what you think is preventive medicine, like that's getting a COVID vaccine, but no one's talking about, Google it 5 or 6 years ago, zinc, vitamin D, and other kinds of nutrients that were really good to help prevent COVID. Did any of your doctors tell you to take more vitamin D? Anybody? Did any of your your doctor did? Good.
My doctor did.
Excellent.
D3,
Yeah. Yes. So that's 2 out of, so that's 10%. Yay. It's not 0. But when you think of the media and the TV and the brouhaha about taking vaccines and not taking vaccines, you get the point that the orientation was, and I'm not an anti-vaxxer, and I'm not saying that everyone should get vaxxed. I'm not here to be a politician about taking away your freedoms about whether you should or shouldn't have been mandated. Oh, let's not go there. I'm just talking about an example of 11% of Americans are on statins because of high cholesterol. It costs Americans, ready, over $10 billion to take statins. How many of my patients, and I'm very blessed, I see patients from all over the country, how many of those patients are told, you might want to eat less bacon, you might want to have less ice cream, you might want to cut down your meat. I don't want you to be a vegetarian, but there's exogenous, the cholesterol that comes from the outside, and your own liver makes cholesterol, and cholesterol is really important for making hormones, which if you're going through menopause, you need cholesterol to help those changes, and if you're not going through menopause because you're a guy, and you are going through menopause if you're a guy, it just looks different. But how many of those people that you know are those doctors giving them nutritional advice? Not many. Maybe yours did, because there are a few, and I know it's not about people should not be on statins. Oh, by the way, how many of those people who were put on statins are told there's a very big controversy going on about how dangerous statins are to the brain? Have you read that? Do you know that? Oh, no, you don't know that. Some of you have read it, But when I tell it to my PCP, when I tell it to a cardiologist, when I tell it to certain MDs, they go, well, that's not proven. Well, okay, so maybe it's not proven for like 80, 90%. But I mean, since when do I want to raise my hand to be a guinea pig? Is there another way to get my HDL to LDL ratio and my triglycerides in check rather than taking a statin? Just examples of the degree to which the world that we live in called allopathic medicine, treating symptoms rather than functional medicine, getting somebody to really understand how to get their organs to work more healthy. And there are more and more functional medicine doctors, that's true. So this series that I called Aging Gracefully with Mindfulness and Vitality, we could look at what we're going to look at by using cancer as a model. Or we could look at what we're looking at, aging gracefully, by looking at the cardiovascular system. Or we could look at aging gracefully by looking at the immune system. You might be interested in that, and we could do one or two talks on aging gracefully, but really understanding the cardiovascular system in the way that I'm choosing to use the brain. And we're going to focus on the brain to really look. So my intention is to spark your curiosity. My intention is to tickle you in a way to provoke you to think a little bit outside of the box of what you think is reasonable or normal. What I do for clients, I consider myself an educator as much or more than a physician, is I chunk detailed stuff down. I'm not a researcher, I'm a clinician, I'm not a guy in a lab. But I hang out with doctors who are either both clinicians and researchers, or they're just researchers. And when I can work really hard to understand what they're saying, then I can distill that for you who know a little bit less than biochemistry than I do, and I know a little bit or a lot less than biochemistry than researchers do. So we're going to build a foundation for us to appreciate more how to have better sleep in life, how to have better memory in life, and how to have better energy, okay? And what I want to do is lay a foundation so you really appreciate some things about the brain. Okay, ready? Good. So how many of you would like to age gracefully? Can I see a show of hands? Is there anybody that sounds, nah, I'm not interested? No? Yeah, you want to age gracefully? Okay. So let's look and see if we can appreciate what are some of the things that are foundational for brain health. I'm grateful to Libby, thank you. I'm grateful for Mary Jane, thank you. I appreciate their vision and their scope and being leaders of this community and inviting me to be here with you. Thank you. I've been interested in health promotion for, I know, it's almost 50 years. And I'm pretty passionate. I often think, how did I get any results 2 years ago, given what I've learned in the last 2 years? So I just have this voracious curiosity to keep learning things that it's kind of like cell phones and computers. You know, the information is coming out really quickly to distill. Some of you have copies of my book or will have copies of my book. Thank you. There's a lot of detail in the book. The first half of the book is on functional medicine. So there's a chapter on toxicity and structure and blood sugar stability and adrenal strength and hormones, digestion, the immune system. 2-page chapters. We can handle that, right? With some case histories. The second half of the book, I love to make distinctions about healing. So there's a chapter on trust, there's a chapter on compassion, there's a chapter on forgiveness, there's a chapter on contribution, there's a chapter on communication, there's a chapter on dying. So I'm going to touch on a number of those things, all related to the brain. What's amazing is, on the one hand, how beautifully unique we all are. Wow, so unique. And on the other hand, all of our livers are on the right side. And most of us have 2 kidneys. It's amazing the similarity of where organs are. I mean, occasionally 1 in a gazillion, somebody's organs is not where it's supposed to be. And it's amazing in terms of the common, when your body is functioning optimally, your body functions optimally, your body. Now, you might need a little bit something different than you might need, but the similarities and differences are part of the adventure of really discovering, since 1981, what I call really loving your body, really appreciating your body and what it needs. Remembering that we've all grown up in this disease management culture. Oh dear. So while understanding theories and understanding different distinctions is important, ultimately my wanting to be with you and my love for speaking with you is for you to take some action when you leave here. If this is entertaining at all for you, great, because I love entertaining you. We're here for another half hour, 45 minutes. Have a good time. Maybe we'll be together again, I hope. Come back next time, bring a friend or two. But have a good time. But ultimately, it's about making shifts. And as you may have heard, anybody know you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Not that I'm calling you an old dog. You know that changing habits can be challenging. Anybody like to make huge Olympic-size changes? Anybody like to be overwhelmed? I don't know, maybe. So the idea is, how do you chunk something down? And that could be a series of talks in and of itself that I do in workshops or sometimes one-on-one as part of me nutritionally evaluating somebody. I don't just give somebody a prescription for, here, eat more of this and eat less of this and take these vitamins and don't take this. Sometimes people need a lot of support of how to make small steps. And you might think of that as I get into the details that I'm about to dive into, is when you leave here, this is about what small steps resonate with you. Whether you need my support or somebody else's support, or you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or your friend who can help you. So you got a buddy system, that's always great. Okay, so let's look at the brain. The most cutting edge research now is that brain dysfunction, dementias, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, other names that you know of that have names of brain dysfunction. Ready? Start in the 40s and 50s, only show up big time when people are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Can I say that again? The cutting edge research shows that brain dysfunction, Parkinson's, dementias, Alzheimer's, starts when people are in their 40s and 50s and 60s and is completely overlooked and then starts to coalesce into syndromes or symptoms and gets identified when somebody's in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. That's what people are talking about in neurology today. Really. So, Libby and Mary Jane were good enough to make some worksheets for you. Let's start writing down. So, 10 areas that are related to cognitive decline. Like a car, if you're not filling your tires up and changing your oil and changing your transmission or getting a new battery if it's electric, is our body designed for our brain to start to have the kinds of problems that so many people have? Or is it really related to some things that the research is really pointing towards? Wow. Okay, so I'd like you to write something down. Don't tell your neighbor or me. What do you think is the most important reason our brain declines. Write one word down on your sheet. Before I'm about to give you 10 reasons our brain declines, just write it down. What's the one thing you think's really important? Somewhere on your sheet, just so you have a note to self. I think this is why people's brain goes offline. Okay, wrote it down? Okay, so I'm now going to give you a distillation of the 10 researched areas. And then we'll take a deep breath. And then we'll come up with 10 areas that we can do something about. Sound okay? Great. Okay, number one. This is not in the order of worst to best or best to worst. These are just 10 areas. I haven't prioritized them. 1, trauma. People who've had concussions have 2.5 times the risk, but another research says that people who have really bad concussions have a 72% chance of having dementia. So category number 1 is people with traumas have at least twice the risk of having brain dysfunction. Wow. 2, chronic stress. This also could be 3, 30, 10 different talks on chronic stress. Okay, so here, life is not about not having stress. If you lay in your hammock for too long, you might have stress lines on your butt. So life is not about not having stress. I want you to have the difference in your mind between stress and distress. When people say, oh, it was really stressful, they really mean distressful. If you're a human being that has a high value for learning, now some people don't have a high value for learning, but if you happen to be one of those people that loves to learn, it's kind of like a passion, so you're always sorting what you need to let go of and what you need to hold on to, and boy, that's not necessarily easy either, but it's stressful as in challenging, not like stressful pejoratively, negatively. Chronic stress, increased cortisol. Another name for cortisol is adrenaline. Little organ sits on top of your kidneys. Another name for kidney is renal. AD in Latin means above. Adrenal gland, part of the pituitary, thyroid, adrenals, ovaries for some of you, testes for me. The endocrine system, when we're leaning on adrenaline and you need 2-3 cups of coffee or even 1 to get going, without which, well, I'm not hooked on coffee, but if I don't have my cup of joe, I'm not quite as awake. Okay, so you are hooked on coffee. It's just a bit of a, I'm not against drinking coffee. I'm just talking about how you'd be if you didn't have it. So there's this whole world. I have a chapter in the first half of my book called Adrenal Fatigue. It's not a disease, it's just something that a lot of people suffer from because they're pushing, and they need their cigarettes, they need their coffee, they need something, and now they're living more off of will or the habit of pushing. So, second, chronic stress is directly linked to 2 to 3 times the risk of brain dysfunction. Human beings in America, okay? And write down your questions. We're going to have time for questions. Thank you. 3, toxins. When I started working with a man who was an MD, ND, that was 1970. Oh my God, I was 3 then. But nonetheless, I was a precocious kid. So when I was working with a man who coached me, he was very into aluminum, from aluminum pots and pans, tin foil. It's not never use aluminum, but you want to wrap something, put it in the fridge. Don't bake with aluminum. Don't boil water for oatmeal or tea in aluminum. So 1970, that was a while ago, yes? They were talking about aluminum and its effect on the brain then. Now it's just accumulated to Mercury from your teeth or tuna fish or swordfish doesn't mean don't ever eat tuna fish or swordfish. It just means when you see your doctor, has anybody really ever tested you for mercury levels or aluminum levels? And if they did, was it 10 years ago? You don't necessarily need to get tested every year. But some people who come to see me, they've never been tested for toxins. So there's a huge amount of research about mold and dementia and different kinds of heavy metals and how it denatures things in the brain that cause what are called these entangles that drill holes in your brain, and 5-10 years later, your memory is like worse than not good. Those toxins decrease vitamin C, those toxins decrease zinc, vitamin D, and can have decades of effect that start when you're in your 30s and 40s. Doesn't just happen in your 50s and 60s. 4, inflammation increases dementia risk 35%. 5, chronic hospital infections increase dementia 50 to 70%. When your infection is decreasing your immune system significantly enough, I'm not saying don't go to the hospital. I'm just saying there's research that's now been correlated to people who are having to go into the hospital for infections and then don't realize when they're over that infection, whether it's AIDS or chronic fatigue or long COVID or whatever the infection, MRSA, who knows what the infection is that would be hard enough that, let's do some brain work for the next 3 to 6 to 9 months to get your nervous system back on track. 6, chronic hospital infections, 50 to 70% risk. Number 6, put a star next to this one, because this is going to be huge in the next 5, 10, 15 years. I don't know how fast. I'm not, that kind of sociologist where I'm looking at how fast things move. But the doctors that I hang out with, like I'm going to a conference middle of October with some giants, researchers of this kind of material, they'll know. Whereas some of us in the last 20, 30, 40 years have said, maybe I should eat less sugar. Have you heard that anywhere? Maybe I should eat less sugar. Why do you want to eat less sugar? Well, I don't want to gain weight. Well, somebody in my family had diabetes. Well, why else don't you want to eat sugar? Oh, somebody told me it robs me of B vitamins and calcium. Oh, really? Okay. Some naturopath I heard says, yeah, it robs your body. I want to be careful of osteoporosis and strong bones. However, what they're now finding is that people who've eaten a lot of sugar in their life, here's the problem, I'm interrupting myself, it's not clear what a lot is. So what a lot for you might not be a lot for you. So it's not like, don't eat any sugar. But when you think about the cookies and the candy and the cakes and the donuts and the Danish and the alcohol and the mayonnaise and the ketchup, do I go on? The things that you're not reading the label unless you buy your ketchup and mayonnaise at Whole Foods. The regular foods that have got sugar in it. I'm not saying never have ice cream. What they're finding is that blood sugar dysregulation, people who are hypoglycemic, people who are pre-diabetic, it's a huge risk, up to 60% of brain dysfunction over decades. Wow. 7, nutrient deficiencies. Ultra-processed food doubles your risk. Eating 3 to 5 cups of colored vegetables can decrease your risk 3 to 5 times. If you're eating, can decrease your risk 50%, but are you eating not just a little bit more kale and I'm having some broccoli and cauliflower, colors, 3 to 5 different colors every day 3 to 5 cups every day. Are you drinking it if you juice? I have these powders I use with my clients that people put powders in protein drinks that I give them. So they have an orange powder and a green powder and they've got a red powder. Wow. Before they leave the kitchen, they've had 3 cups of vegetables. Folic acid, vitamin D, B12, omega. There are certain nutrients. The term I'd like you to get clear about is nutrient insufficiencies. Nutrient deficiencies is an allopathic term. I see people that have all sorts of vitamin C problems because of their allergies, their stress. They have marks with their socks or their bras or their underwear, and they got indentations on their skin. It's like your underwear, your socks aren't too tight. That's a vitamin C deficiency. Oh, and then I look for bruising easily, and I look for, do their gums bleed easily? Do you have allergies? Do you have adrenal go? The adrenals need vitamin C. So a lot of people are not doing enough vitamin C, but I've never seen anybody with scurvy, ever. I've never seen anybody with rickets, but people might have low amounts of vitamin D. Ask your doctor to, next time you do blood, to run vitamin D. But there isn't a blood test for vitamin C. You need to see me or somebody who knows how to evaluate you on different kinds of nutrients. So there's now mounting evidence. Certain things, folic acid, B12, vitamin D, are very related to brain dysfunction. 8, vascular damage, poor blood flow. How many people do you know, ask Mary Jane and Libby, when they're in their 70s and 80s and they have brain concerns, Libby, how many people walk like this? Well, quite a few. Almost all, but not all, but quite a few. How is that person getting better when, in their 50s and 60s, nobody told them, stand up straight? Well, now they're 65, 70, 75, and their cervical vertebrae are fused. The muscles are really tight, And in PT, it's hard for them to lose. I'm not saying it's impossible, but there's a huge amount of evidence about lack of blood flow, lack of oxygen over years. Now, it may be obvious to us looking at 75, 80, 85-year-olds, not all 75-year-olds, but some, many. Posture is more important than we realize. It's been related to 20 to 25% increased risk for brain dysfunction when people are like this and they're cutting off blood flow. I want to go back because I've got to say something with nutritional insufficiencies. Some of you watch Netflix every now and then, a little bit. If not, I don't know what you're doing with your life. I mean, you're not watching Netflix? I've got so many good programs to tell you about. Okay, I'm off topic. So a good program to watch is Netflix has got a series on blue zones. Have you seen it? Fabulous. It's now I'm going to talk a lot more about blue zones in the next 2 talks, and then we all can go to Okinawa or Sardinia together. Would you sponsor Libby? Can we do like a field trip? Yes. Excellent. Good. I mean, look what Mary Jane and Libby put together. So can you imagine what they put together if we were going to Sardinia together? It sounds awesome. So there are 4 one-hour, beautifully filmed, where watch the Netflix series on blue zones. It's terrific. And I'm going to highlight some things about that in my talks. Okay, we're at 9. 9 is social isolation. One of the beautiful things Libby and Mary Jane are doing is to create this kind of environment. Do you know the kind of painting stuff that they have their residents do here? It's awesome. It's awesome. So the idea that when people either need support, maybe people don't need support, but their community, their spouses died, they didn't have a spouse, but they need to come in. Social isolation increases risk for dementia between 25 and 30%. It's a huge factor. So having an older person, older like 50s, 60s, 70s, feel connected in a community can be incredibly important to help their brain. Okay, I'm ready if you're ready. What'd you write down as the most important thing?
Fatigue, sleep.
Fatigue and sleep. What'd you write down as the most important thing for brain dysfunction?
Disuse.
Disuse. Disuse? Wow, this is so interesting.
Medication.
What?
Medication.
Medication. Not meditation, medication. Okay. Well, number 10 is your genes. Hereditary. Yeah. Number 10 is, so I'm going to admit I was wrong. I thought you were all going to say jeans or pants or blue something. If you have some dementia and brain dysfunction in your family, it increases your risk 10 to 30%. If it's in your immediate family, your mother or father, it increases your risk 50%. Now, what I'd like you to please appreciate before we get to some good news, so you all don't throw tomatoes at me, it's more common that people who have some brain dysfunction have 2, 3, 4, 5 of these issues rather than you have strep throat. Oh, we found you have strep. Well, as a naturopath, I'm interested, but what's going on? If you have one strep throat, maybe you're not interested, maybe I won't even need to tell you. But if you have a series of strep throat, I'm not looking at whether you do or don't have strep. I'm looking at why is your resistance allowing you to have an overproduction of strep in your body. So when you look at the world of brain dysfunction, most people that are being evaluated, whether it's in my office or other people's offices, but not all neurologists are looking at these variables. But the kinds of functional medicine doctors that are seeing it's not one vector. It's not, oh, you're low in folic acid, but it's rampant that people are low in folic acid and vitamin D. And some people are not lonely. And some people haven't done a lot of alcohol and sugar. And some people have no heavy metals. So I'd like you to think of all of these as possibilities, that there are lots and lots of people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and then 70s, and their memory is going and their balance is going, that I'm going through this list. Okay, last section, and then we'll go for some questions. 12 foundations for better brain health. Ready? Okay, 1, food. Duh. More vegetables, less sugar and alcohol, and depending on someone's background and their family history and other things, I might say, could you give me 1 or 2, 3 months where you hardly do any alcohol or sugar? But somebody else, given their family history and their symptoms and strength, I might just say, be mindful. Because their A1C is 3.2. Whereas somebody else's A1C, you know what A1C is? It's now, so their blood sugar indicator is, they're at 5, and their PCP just said, be careful, you're pre-diabetic, and they're 68. Well, okay, I'm now a little concerned when I do, in my evaluation, I'm looking at aluminum and mercury and other things. They're tired late afternoon, their hair's falling out, they're hooked on 3 cups of coffee a day. Now, I'm not saying I have a crystal ball. I know they're going to have some brain issues in their mid-70s. I'm just saying I'm starting to check off boxes of how many variables that are now proven, and this person's more at risk and nobody's telling them. Food. 2, exercise. Sitting is the new smoking. Increase your heart rate. Sweat. Put on a sweatshirt when you're on the elliptical or when you walk. Walk quickly. I'm not saying don't walk slowly to enjoy nature. Some of you saw my dog?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't ask Libby, I didn't ask Mary Jane. Maybe we'll let Honey in. She's unbelievable. So I walk, Honey, 1, 2 miles, 3, 4, 5 days a week. And sometimes I walk slowly and wow, take in the negative ions. And sometimes I'm on the elliptical for 15, 20 minutes and I'm getting my heart rate up 3, 4, 5 mornings a week. Oxygenating your brain, increasing blood flow. 3, sleep. The average person needs between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. The average American gets 6 hours of sleep. So some of you who thought that sleep was like the most important variable, you weren't far off. That's why I'm going to spend a whole time, if you come back, just on better sleep and how it's related to the brain. Very, very important. Supplements I already went over. 4, these 12 foundations. Folic acid. See if, that's an easy one to ask your doc to run a folic acid. Magnesium. Vitamin E is in Edward. Vitamin D, B12. There are specific nutrients that are no longer controversial. We're not talking about deficiencies. We're talking about insufficient amounts for optimal function. Stress management. We're a quadrinity. We have a physical body, we have a mental body, a collection of thoughts, we have an emotional body, a collection of feelings, we have a spiritual body that has nothing to do with past lives. We are energetic beings, and most of us, unless you've done an awful lot of workshops, identify primarily like we're physical and we have feelings and we have thoughts. And our spiritual reality, nothing to do with whether you go to church or don't go to church, that's religion. So there's a huge amount of really smart people who are not nourishing and dealing well with their emotions. And that doesn't mean they're angry all the time. But it might mean some things have happened in their life that they're not complete with. Those issues are not resolved, but they don't think about them every day. There are things about all of us as human beings about learning to be more accepting, learning to be more compassionate. But given how we use our minds to try to understand, am I the only one in the room that tries to use my mind to understand everything? Remembering that it seems like the way the game is set up, there are certain things that are not meant to be analyzed, but you can experience them. So there's a lot of work in the realm of the quality of our life about knowing the distinction I said earlier between stress and distress and how to relate to both. So that there's a lot of research, and I'm going to weave more of this into the next 2 talks about meditation. There's an enormous amount of research on mindfulness practices. Mindfulness could be the way Libby and Mary Jane create the space for the elderly people who live here to paint. That could be mindful. Mindfulness doesn't have to be sitting on a cushion. So there's a whole world of presence practices where you're not kind of in your rational, linear, logical left brain, but you're more in your right brain creating. And you're working, next point, with your breath. Some of those practices now, the painting these men and women do here, they might not have anything to do with their breath, or they might. But different kinds of qigong practices, different kind of tai chi, or different kinds of just sitting down and breathing in certain cadence, have roots in Christian, Jewish, Islamic, Buddhist, different kinds of religious traditions over a couple of thousand years. And so again, there's meditation, mindfulness practices that have shown incredible reversal of things when people have brain problems. Anybody here have people they know who have Parkinson's? Do you know the boxing workout?
Right here.
Are you
Friend.
are you doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it great or is it great? Yeah, like I said. Yeah, so speak to people who have Parkinson or Parkinson-like symptoms. Maybe it's not exactly Parkinson's. And there are a couple of places around that have these boxing routines that are incredibly helpful for the brain. Breath work and creating oxygen, critical to blood flow. Number 8, use it or lose it. Somebody said, I think you did. Yes. Yeah, 7's breath work. 6 is meditation. Yeah. 6 is meditation. 7 is breath work. 8 is use it or lose it, as in be careful of the personality types. I know that. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. Oh. Curiosity is amazing for laying new tracks. What's the word? Neuroplasticity. New neuronal pathways. Whether you're playing a jigsaw puzzle, or you're doing Scrabble, or you're doing a crossword puzzle, or you're doing your best to learn Italian or Spanish or whatever. It doesn't have to be any of those. But just use it or lose it. Not use what you know, but if you can invent with your brother, your sister, if you have your parents are still alive, or friends, long before they're holding on, barely able to hold on, and they're losing a grip. I'm talking about when they're in your 40s and 50s, that it's now been incredibly researched about what curiosity does as a way of helping the brain to stay open. Nine, people who have a challenge or have a purpose. People who wake up and it's careful, because I don't want to have this sound too obsessive and too masculine, driven, goal-oriented. But I wanted to write it down because it's there to see in the literature. People who have a reason for living. People who have something that they want to meet that challenge. 10, people who are social, watch Blue Zones on Netflix. 11, there's a recent Yale study, I love this, that people who have positive beliefs about aging well live 7.5 years longer than people who have negative outlooks on growing old. Wow. Just in case you think your mind doesn't have a say in all this. 12, cardiovascular health fitness, stretching, flexibility, increasing your heart rate. So it's not just, I walk, but walking doesn't mean you have to run, doesn't mean you have to do cold plunges, although that might be good. Uh-oh, I lost half the crowd. Did you see how fast it happened? I don't know, I think Libby and Mary Jane have that trough over there for us to all, yeah, we're gonna do some yeah, Libby's ready for cold plunges, yep. Okay, you want a bonus? Because you only have room for 12. Can I give you a bonus, 13? Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of research about laughing and having fun.
Yeah.
There's research about the positive effects on your brain having fun. Okay, we're in the home stretch. Get your questions ready, or we're going to all go back to eating. So, what about the backside? That's next time. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I want to read you something, and I'd like you to imprint this word inside your forehead, because I don't want people coming up to you and go, what's on your forehead? So we're going to have to put it inside your forehead. Ready? What's the word? Epigenetics. I just had a flash of The Graduate. Plastics? No, not going there. Epigenetics. All the variables in our life that are within our choices that have enormous influence on which genes from our parents manifest. Now, a lot of doctors haven't caught up with this. The doctors, MDs I hang out with have been into this for the last 15, 20 years. Now, it's really taking off in terms of the brain. So, I want to read you something if I could. Ready? Epigenetics is important because it controls gene expression and cell differentiation during development, allowing cells to have unique functions from the same DNA. It acts as an interface between genetics and the environment, meaning lifestyle and experiences can modify gene activity, influencing health and disease risk across a lifetime, even into future generations. Understanding epigenetics provides new avenues for disease prevention, diagnosis, potentially reversible therapeutic treatments for conditions like cancer, cardiovascular disease, and neurodevelopment disorders. Neurodevelopment, think brain dysfunction. One more. Epigenetic studies. Epigenetic. All of the variables we've talked about tonight. Food, exercise, breathing, meditation. Everything other than my genes are giving me blue eyes or brown eyes. My genes have me look like mom and dad. My father had bad teeth, I have bad teeth. Gene expression. Epigenetics are what allows your genes to express the variables I started a few moments ago, that our lifestyle has more impact on our gene expression. And here it is on AI in Google. As opposed to some naturopath has got these ideas. It's out there. Epigenetics studies how environmental factors, behaviors, and lifestyle choices can influence gene expression, turning genes on or off without changing the underlying DNA sequence. These reversible chemical modifications from the epigenome acts as a layer of instructions on the genome that dictates how DNA is read, interpreted, influencing development, aging, health. Environmental factors such as diet, stress can alter these epigenetic marks, potentially leading to differences to health outcomes, including susceptibility to diseases. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming. I'm just going to talk a little bit more, only if you have questions. I gave you a lot to chew on, I hope. You cannot leave until the food is gone. And then some of you we can carry out if you need. Sometimes it seems, given the body, the moment in time, the culture, the society, that we're all victims of fill in the blank. You know, there's a lot of Ukraine and Gaza and politics. There's a lot to juggle and deal with. And my mother this, and my father this, and my grandmother, and wow. When I take notes and I do what's called a review of systems with a patient, and I do a whole review of systems, kind of like a doctor, but I listen to what they're saying differently, and somebody says, I've never had a cavity ever in my life. I know Martians are real, given how many cavities I had as a child. You never had a cavity ever in your life? Joke. But I hope tonight gives you a sense that regardless of your childhood, regardless of your mom and dad, there are things regarding brain deterioration that you can start to get curious about what you'd like to find out about your body. Whether you find somebody like me, you find somebody else that could be your partner for you to discover what your strengths and weaknesses are, and then slowly, step by step, maybe it'll be meditation, maybe it'll be diet, one thing at a time, find out how you could strengthen your strengths and how you can strengthen your weaknesses. A few questions, if you have any. I'm all yours. Yes, sir.
Would you suggest that a lot of people learning a new instrument? Something that you never played before, we're kind of like, not only that, it brings them around with two
A+.
social. Now they're finding a lot of the elderly are getting into music.
Yeah. I don't want to make that a should, but it sounds like a great idea to me. As a use it or lose it, and wow. Never played a sax, but now I'm going to learn a sax. In fact, I don't even know how to read music. I'm going to teach myself how to music. Could have an enormous amount of benefits. Especially if it was a saxophone and you were listening to John Coltrane, could be amazing. More questions? Yes, ma'am.
If we're heading to our primary care physician, we want to talk about blood pressure.
Yeah.
There's certain 5, 10 you'd say for us to say, I want to check these.
It's more than that.
So where do we start?
Well, first of all, some of what you want to find out won't be available in blood work. It'll be available in other ways. So if you want to look at aluminum and mercury and heavy metals and toxicity in your body, you're not going to find that by looking at SGOT, SGPT, and liver enzymes. Those liver enzymes are only abnormal if you have hepatitis or liver cancer. That's the bad news. The good news is there are blood tests or other tests that you can look at, but you might have a real difficult time unless you have a really open PCP. And if your PCP is not open, then use your PCP for disease management and find a functional medicine doctor, whether they're a naturopath like me or they're not, who will take care of you to do the detective work that you want to have done. Some PCPs are wonderfully open and receptive. Some PCPs or oncologists or gastroenterologists or gynecologists or different docs that I have to interface with are like, why would I do that? And I don't want my patients to be in the middle of trying to enroll their doctor on the legitimacy of what other doctors have been doing for years. And there are new tests that they've only been doing for 3 or 4 years. So that's it's an important question, but it's more than just have them do folic acid and vitamin D. I mean, because the truth is, depending on diabetes in your family, or you've eaten a ton of tuna fish and swordfish, or a lot of things in a oral history or physical exam, there might be 25 other things that are more important than folic acid or D, If you really want to look at, hey, I'm 50, I'm 55, I really want to get a sense of, I want to get a baseline of things that are important for my brain. It may be more than just one or two things to ask you PCP. Sorry, good questions. Again, more? Okay, yes, sir.
I don't have a question, but I just want to thank you because what the information you just gave is enormously valuable, and I appreciate it.
Don started with me in 1978, and he was 81 then. So, I mean, just look at what can happen if you take the right vitamins. Thank you for driving as far as you did to come. Appreciate it. Great. I'll be happy to sign your book if you wish. If you want information on my services, there's a sheet back there. If you want to ask me any private questions, call. If you're okay me putting you on my mailing list, you know, I do a fair amount of TV and radio and talks like this or different talks like this. If you're okay being in communication with me, send me an email if you wish, or else I have your email. I don't want to intrude on your space unless you want me to let you know. And again, Mary Jane, thank you. Libby, thank you. And hope to see a number of you, and bring somebody October 22nd.